Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts with breaking news.
Well, breaking this morning, this reminder to double check your furnace as the cold weather settles in. A mechanical issue displaced an Omaha family this morning. It happened about 2 a.m. near 60th and Elm. Fire crews were called for reports of a house fire. Officials say when they arrived on scene, they found a bad coil in the furnace and a whole lot of smoke. Thankfully, the family is fine. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here on First Alert 6 Streaming. I'm Cerise Cole, Jade Steffens. It is cold, though. You got to check those furnaces, but it's really cold this morning. We've got wind chills to talk about.
Yeah, they're down in the teens in some spots. Thankfully, the wind isn't nearly as strong as yesterday, but when you're cold, any little bit can make it colder. So let's talk about what the numbers look like. You're still going to want the heavier coat without a doubt out the door this morning. And tell you what, why don't you just keep it handy for a while. 23 degrees, feels like number of 12. You got the sustained wind at about 11 miles per hour. Now, the gusts yesterday were up to 30 miles per hour. That's not the case this morning, thank goodness. But we're starting to see a little bit more of a south wind kick up now, 5 to 15 miles per hour with the sustained winds. And that's going to help to drive in some warmer air for our area. So pretty light winds still through about 9, 10 o'clock. And then you'll notice the gusts try to get up near 25, maybe 30 miles per hour for a little bit today. Those will be noteworthy. Unfortunately, the winds increase right as the clouds increase. All the clouds are going to be moving in during the day. So this may be the most sunlight we have this morning. Is early on in the day. Clouds moving in from the west. We're at 23 right now. Take the winter coat and the warm hat. Anything to help keep you warm, because even as we do reach 45 today, which will be the warmest we have of the week, the clouds moving in are going to take away a little of that warmth. You won't have the sunlight overhead to help add a little bit of that warm feel to the air. So you can see where the feels like numbers are. Even a couple single digits showing up this morning. Yeah, even with the lighter wind, like I mentioned, it still doesn't take much to get those wind chills down there. Current temperature is 16 in Harlan, 18 in Atlantic, 23 in Omaha as of right now. The 3-day forecast shows where we're headed here. 45 for the high today, 39 on Wednesday. There's this small chance of a very light morning mix possible on Wednesday. Haven't talked about it much. I just don't see much happening, and if you do get a little bit from it, the impacts probably aren't all that great. Best odds are going to be down in probably Kansas or Missouri to get something out of that. So if you got to travel south, forecast there worth checking. Most of that should actually be warm enough to be rain when you get down into Kansas and Missouri. And then Thanksgiving itself, chilly, but you know, it's dry. You can get where you're going. You can drive through cold air. You can't drive through snow very easily. We don't have any of that on the way. 37 for the high by Thanksgiving afternoon, and it just keeps getting colder from there.
Okay, let's talk about the day after Thanksgiving. There's going to be some shopping going on.
A little bit.
It's some eating leftovers, but also a pretty big game, too.
It's a night game, too. It used to be an 11 o'clock kick, and that was okay. It warmed up during the day.
I forgot it was a night game.
6:30 is what they moved it to. It's here on First Alert 6, but if you got tickets to the game,
you're going to freeze.
Ooh, buddy. All right, let's show you what it looks like. Low 20s at kickoff. Remember, it's a 6:30 kick. So it would get colder overnight, but it looks like things are going to stay pretty steady in the low 20s. Thankfully, it won't be all that windy. So this is what you get if you got tickets to this one. Between Nebraska and Iowa, final home game of the season. There's also another big one at Ames. If you're heading to this one, it looks like about the same. Saturday night at 6:30, still low 20s, relatively clear sky, so a cold one there all the way around for any local football around the area of Nebraska or Iowa. Now you look longer range here. Take you to Saturday. This is the day worth watching. 40% chance of some light snow in the morning hours. We're going to talk about this a little greater detail here coming up in just a little bit, because that is the one and only day that could have any travel problems whatsoever in the area. It's a very finicky little narrow, small system moving through. But again, it could be the first snow of the season, and it could have some impacts to the roads.
Little system can cause big problems. We know that to be true. Speaking of problems, what is happening on the roads this morning, Jade?
You know, it was so quiet the first half of the morning, and recently we've seen a few new crashes. So luckily not seeing a whole lot of backups associated with the crashes, but I do want to tell you about them. So taking a look across across the area. This one is what I want you to pay attention to. This is 96 and I-80 westbound. The shoulder that was originally blocked has now cleared. Of course, that vehicle is still off of the road. So if you're traveling in that area, do be aware of that. And let's take a closer look at those backups. They are starting to look a little bit better. Again, right shoulder is no longer blocked, and still seeing a little bit of some slowed traffic there. Another crash to give you a first alert to, this is 42nd and Leavenworth, really seeing backups in the northbound lanes of 42nd Street. So if you're heading in that direction, may need to plan for some extra time for your morning commute. Another thing I got a report of, a stalled vehicle 16th and Jackson. Now I'm not seeing a lot of congestion around this area, but we did get a report of a vehicle that was stalled on the side of the road. So may need to be a bit careful while traveling in that area. A couple construction things to give you a first alert to. The road is closed. This is on Maple between 67th and 70th. It started yesterday morning. It'll go through the end of today. The eastbound lanes have been closed for previous weeks. However, today both ways are going to be closed. So something to keep in mind there. Also in that area, construction continues for 72nd. This is between Bedford and Maple. Various lane restrictions here. That's scheduled for about another month. And one more to give you a first alert to as you're heading out the door. This has been closed for some time, but the 72nd Street northbound ramp to I-80 eastbound is closed. So if you are trying to go east on I-80, you may need to find a different route for that. So that's what we're watching so far for this morning.
Okay.
Hopefully things start to calm down a little bit within the next, 20 minutes or so.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jade, thank you. We do have some news to get to this morning. An update to a First Alert 6 investigation. A judge ordered the suspect in a cold case murder to remain in jail until trial. Joseph Ambrose is accused of the 1969 murder of 17-year-old Mary Kay Hesse. We were the first to tell you about her body being exhumed from Blair Cemetery earlier this fall. Her cousin set up a tip line that helped in the investigation. She says she hopes the trial will bring closure.
We can finally, as a family, we know what happened. We will know what happened. Allegedly, he murdered her, and hopefully we get a conviction, and maybe she can rest.
The preliminary hearing for Ambrose is set for December 16th. For extensive coverage on this case that we first alerted you to before anyone else, you can go to our website, firstalert6.com. Well, another first to new information concerning a story we brought you last week. It has to do with that infestation of rats in South Omaha. Well, the Douglas County Health Department says it is now working on solving this problem. Officials say the rats are coming from the area of 39th and D. The county is making improvements to the waste and sewer conditions in the area and placing bait in public areas. So hopefully get that under control. All right, here with Maria Kate at the First Alert 6 Safety Desk. And Maria has the latest on vaping and unfortunately the dangers that come with it.
I know, and it's becoming more and more popular too. So we definitely want to make sure that you all know about this. There are scientists who are saying that it affects blood vessels within minutes. And what really makes this interesting is that the data even shows that this can include nicotine-free vapes. So all different kinds. Now, experts say these changes could lead to some long-term health problems, with things like blood clots, heart attacks, and strokes becoming more and more common in people who vape. Now, those ingredients in the e-cigs might also cause inflammation that could affect the entire body. Researchers say that this is more evidence that e-cigarettes are not a safe alternative to smoking. And they're also hoping that this research help regulators make some decisions about what products are actually safe for people who want to use something like this.
All right, and just 2 more days till Thanksgiving.
I know, it's coming up.
We cannot talk about safety and food safety enough.
No, it's so, so important.
Yes.
And we definitely want to, hear these reminders every year, but we want to, remind you again, just to make sure that you know what to do before you cook your Thanksgiving meal. It's coming up 2 days away. Yeah. But we want to start by talking over those leftovers, what you can do to handle and store your extra food. So if you're not using a warming tray for your food for your Thanksgiving meal, your turkey leftovers should be put in the fridge or a freezer within 2 hours of you cooking it and placing it out there. That's going to help slow down that bacterial growth. Now, one USDA food safety expert says that Thanksgiving leftovers are safe in the refrigerator for up to 4 days, but actually if you freeze them, you have a lot longer. They say that those leftovers should be eaten within 6 months. I didn't even realize it was that long, but yeah, it's 6 months. But you have 6 months if you put it in the freezer, but you're going to want to take it out and reheat it to 165 degrees before you eat it if you did freeze it. And that 2-hour refrigeration rule, that's going to apply to those side dishes too. Of course, gravy, mashed potatoes,
mac and
you name
cheese,
it. You're going to want to put those back in. Everything. And we have so many more tips from the USDA. You can find those over on our website, firstalert6.com as well.
I always feel, when I'm hosting, I always feel rude putting the food away, but you have to pay attention to that. But you want people to feel free to graze, but safety first.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're talking and having a great time, you might forget it, but some good reminders.
We appreciate it. Maria Kate is always on the safety desk. Thank you. First Alert 6 streaming. We'll be back after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. We are taking a live look outside at the sunrise here in the metro area, off to a cold start to the day. But yeah, it's cold in studio and out. Welcome in. You'll need all the things as the kids get ready for what this is probably the last day for most school districts, right before the break. But here's the good. We like to bring you some good news too. The warmest day of the week.
That's what you get right here.
Yeah.
Right now, you got the most sunlight of the warmest day of the week. How about that?
Okay.
I'll explain a little greater here. The warmest day of the week, because we're going to climb into the 40s. Clouds are going to increase during the day as we go through, especially into the afternoon. Now, before Thanksgiving, could have a few flurries early tomorrow morning. It'll start to turn colder. After Thanksgiving, a lot of cold and a little bit of snow to watch for, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here shortly. Here's the clouds that are moving in right now, so those will fill up our sky as the day goes along, and you can see as we march through it, hour by hour, there they are filling up from now to about 9 o'clock. We get to about 30 degrees, then the clouds thicken up more and more. By noon, we're up into the 40s, and because of the thick clouds, the number just doesn't move much this afternoon. We can go to about 45 for the afternoon high. So that's about where we should be this time of year, but it won't happen with sunshine, unfortunately. And by 5 o'clock, we're still holding on to some 40s. By 7, we're down in the 30s. and then that's where we'll stay most of the night. I think we're going to see temperatures kind of plateau a little bit overnight because of the clouds, and there's what could be a few sprinkles, maybe a light shower, could even have a few snow showers, but very spotty and sparse, and I don't think it's going to be a big problem. But look at where we go from today to the weekend. Down in the 20s for highs. Averages in the 40s. We will not get there after today. We'll get close tomorrow. Small chance of a couple of these little spotty little showers, maybe a brief snow shower, but you can see there's not much on models here after 10 o'clock. Those drop to the southeast and we'll clear it out a little bit. A little bit of a north wind starts to kick in, and we should by 4 o'clock get up to about 39 degrees for the afternoon high. Now, it's going to get cold Friday. Saturday morning, that's the day to watch. If you have any travel plans whatsoever, this really narrow stripe of snow tries to move on through during the morning hours Saturday and linger into the early afternoon. Models have been all over the place with this, and you can see how narrow it is. So any little changes are going to make a little bit of a difference with who sees what out of this. But that is what we're tracking here in the short term. And that's the biggest thing to focus on for any weekend travel.
Ooh, and that's just that one day. Is that just the one path, or is there another path where?
Well, there's a couple different options here. Now I'm going to show you what makes this so tough. It's a very narrow little stripe of snow, and it's going to reinforce the colder air behind it. And you can see down in the single digits, maybe low teens Sunday and Monday morning. But here's what I'm dealing with. Look how narrow this little stripe is. If it lines up right up and down I-29, places like Lincoln to Grand Island could have little to nothing.
Yeah.
That's how narrow this is. So that's one model. Here's a different one, kind of changes the angle of it a little bit and slices it on through. So this is what we're going to be looking for. I'm going to dive into things a little bit more here after we get done with our streaming and try to figure out if there's a first alert day in here somewhere based on new model data. I'll let you know how this looks as we get a little closer, but you can always have our app handy. You'll get the latest info there. The first alert weather day, if we do end up issuing one, and it could be something that, it'll fluctuate a little bit over the course of the next couple days. But by all means, keep an eye on Saturday morning if you got to travel.
And you'll know more specifics about the time as well, too.
Every day we'll get a little bit more detail.
All right. We got to get to Jade over here because there's a new crash. Yeah. There's a lot of lights we can see, too.
Yeah, very recent crash. This is on 370 and 144th, that intersection there. Seeing a lot of lights, likely a lot of police in that area, even a fire truck. So if you do frequently travel this in the morning, I would recommend taking another route. It does look to be very busy at this scene. And let's take a look to see what impacts that might have on the traffic map here. Let's get that to load. There we go. Not a lot of backups in this area at the moment, but again, a very heavy police presence. So keep in mind if you are traveling in that area. Another crash to give you a first alert to, this is 42nd and Leavenworth, really seeing backups in that northbound lane on 42nd Street, so do be aware of that. However, the good news is if you're heading to Epley this morning, if you have an early flight you're trying to catch, your drive-in should be pretty good. Not seeing any issues, especially around the area of Epley, but still definitely give yourself some extra time just because it is going to be a busy travel weekend. And that's what we're watching for this morning as far as traffic. Hopefully those situations start to get cleared up soon.
All right, hopefully so. Jade, thank you so much. Well, happening today, the Omaha City Council will discuss an ordinance. It approves the agreement to develop a new site for the Omaha Children's Museum. Now, that site would be located at 8th and Douglas. Officials believe the project will cost more than $100 million, mostly funded by private donors. The museum is asking for the public's impact on the new building through next month. And a new state program is focused on the mental health of local tornado victims. It's called Nebraska Recovery Project. It was created by the state health department. The storms earlier this year had a devastating impact on many parts of the metro. So the goal of this project is to help tornado victims with the emotional side of their situation.
Sometimes those mental health effects kind of continue on, and we just want to make sure that those individuals continue to have support.
You can find more information on the services the project offers on our website, firstalert6.com. We are entering the season of sweets, oh my. We have a festive way you can indulge today when First Alert 6 streaming returns. Well, happening today, we love special days, and it is a National Cake Day. There are countless styles of cake people enjoy, right? Some favorites include red velvet, there's the angel food cake, upside down cake, strawberry shortcake. We could go on forever. We won't. We won't. The holiday comes just 2 days before Thanksgiving, though, where pie is expected to be the dessert taking center stage. So are you guys, do you favor pie or cake on Thanksgiving?
I'm a traditionalist, yeah, pie.
Yeah.
You're just pie. You do
I'm
pie?
doing pie too.
We make both.
Oh, you
You know, we want, you know what? We aim to please at our household. We want everybody to be happy.
See, maybe I'm weird. Maybe it's part of getting old. I'd take birthday pie over birthday cake.
You did. We got you birthday pie your last birthday.
Thank you very much
That's
for
your
that.
jam. I know that about you.
Pie, ice cream, way up there above cake for me. I don't know why.
My grandpa's like that.
Oh, well, Grandpa.
Love that. Awesome.
Fabulous.
Great to hear.
I think that's how we'll end. Maria, that was fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to get ready for our update in the Today Show. We're going to give you a bird's eye view while we look. That cut-in you can watch on the stream or over the air. Have a great day, everybody.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole. We do want to get right to First Alert traffic with Jade Steffens, who's tracking a major crash on 370.
Yeah, that's right. This is on 370 and 144th at intersection. As you can see here, a heavy police presence in the area. I saw a fire truck on this camera earlier, and you're going to want to take a close look at this because the eastbound lanes on 370 are currently closed. So a first alert to that if you are traveling in that direction, likely going to need an alternate route on your way this morning. Now, one other crash I do want to give you a first alert to as well. This is at 42nd and Leavenworth, seeing the most impacts in the eastbound lanes on 42nd. And let's head over to Rusty with a check of the weather.
It's all about the cold air out there this morning, and this is the most sunlight we're going to have to start the day here. Clouds are going to increase. So you can see at the moment we're at 23. Numbers haven't budged much over the last 4 hours or so. Feels like temperature at 12, southeast wind. Lighter than yesterday. We're not gusting to 30 miles per hour, but you can see 23 feels like 12, 20 feels like 9, 18. It feels like 18 in Red Oak. The wind's a little lighter on the Iowa side, but we're starting to see those south winds pick up a little bit, and they're 5 to 15 miles per hour right now. No real strong gusts at the moment, but those will pick up around 10 o'clock. So gusts 25 to 30 miles per hour looking likely out of the south as we go through the day today. So a little bit on the breezy side, but it will take us to 45 degrees for the afternoon high. This is going to be the warmest day of the rest of the week. Cerise?
Russ, thank you. To breaking news now, and a reminder to double check your furnace as the cold weather settles in. A mechanical issue displaced an Omaha family. So this happened about 2 o'clock this morning near 60th and Elm. Fire crews were called to reports of a house fire, and officials say when they arrived, they found bad coil in the furnace, which caused a lot of smoke. Thankfully, the family is expected to be okay. They will have to find another place to stay. 7:28. We are back with another update for you in 25 minutes. See you then.
Sam, since this is your first Get holiday.
Your First Alert 6 weather forecast is sponsored by Getchman Heating and Air.
Good morning, everyone. First Alert.